Okay, we're ready to go. This is gentle yoga on the 21st of December. Sorry, I'm a tad late getting started here because we were chatting. But let yourself sit comfortable. Winter solstice, beautiful day outside. So by the time we get out of here, it's going to be perfect. So sit however's comfortable. You know, if you're in a chair, get your feet underneath you so that your hips distance apart. I'm going to start on the floor today, but it doesn't really matter whether you start sitting on the floor or letting yourself sit in a chair. Sorry, I can't seem to get this camera straight, so excuse me as I mess around with trying to not be crooked. Okay, best I can do there. So close your eyes. Get yourself sitting really comfortably for your hips, however that might be. And let yourself close your eyes and lengthen up through the top of your head. And just release your hands to a comfortable place for you. Might be letting your hands rest on your thighs, or might be something different. Just let yourself start to release into your breath. Really watching the breath as it comes in and goes out through both sides of your nose. Kind of imagine the breath coming in through the tips of the nostrils. Start to just move a little bit in those circles of the torso so that you come into easy movement, letting your exhalations bring you forward and your inhalations bring you back. And you can stay as small or get as big with these circles as feels good to you. And in order to go the other direction, you stop where you choose and just start to reverse. Again, letting your breath really move you here. Yourself finish off being forward a little bit. Doesn't need to be far, it's up to you. Just let yourself lean forward a bit with a long back. And then on the next inhale, we'll rise all the way back up to sitting. And let's release our hands on out beside us here now. And inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And now, keeping your hands together, we're going to circle them. So let your fingertips come forward and then rotate to where the backs of the hands come together and then the fingertips come towards your chest. And you just keep circling here. So your hands stay connected, not harshly. You're just gently feeling the wrists wake up a little bit here, feeling as the hands connect, whether it's fingers together, palms together, or the backs of the hands together. Just let it feel easy, just rolling through the wrists. And we're going to stop in reverse direction with those, so letting yourself go the other way. And again, just let it feel easy. Feel that rolling motion. And now the next time that your hands come together, let them be there in front of your chest. Spread your fingers wide now. Palms face each other and touch each other. And now just bow your head as you lift your elbows up and press gently together with your hands, feeling your wrists there. And then bringing the head on back up, chin parallel to the floor. Let's inhale both hands up through the midline And now release your right hand on down, either towards the floor or just beside you if you're in your chair. And we're going to come over into a little side stretch. But as you come over a little bit, turn your palm up towards the ceiling. Bend your elbow just a little bit. And then press up into the heel of your hand so that you come a little bit more into that side stretch, a little more space between the ribs. And then we'll rise on back up, and we're going to bring both arms up overhead again. Turn the pinkies towards each other. Really release your shoulders down. And now lower your left arm down beside you. Again, you can put your hand on the floor if you're on the floor. And turn your hand so that the heel of the hand is upward. And then press up as you come over into that side stretch. So you're really finding more space again between the ribs there on the right side. Good. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back up all the way to bring our hands behind us. Interlace your fingers, clasp your hands there. And then come forward just a little bit with that long back. That same long back that you were doing before. Keep the length. Now if you're able to rise your arms a little bit off your back, do. If it hurts your shoulders, don't do it. Some of you might even want to really fold over your legs, right? I mean, depends on you, how it feels to you, how far you want to go. And then we'll slowly come on back up to the top. Release your hands, shake them out just a little bit. We're going to switch the cross of our legs if we're cross-legged on the floor. So you might need to stretch your legs out. So if you work, just release yourself back into your chair. Be comfortable here. And then we'll bring our fingertips again on out beside us onto the floor if you're on the floor. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our right. Let your left hand come around towards your right knee. See if you can just find that easy twist there in the middle of the back. And lengthening up through the top of your head now. Good. One more inhale. Now, keep your left hand on your right knee. But as you exhale, come back around into center and let your right hand come over towards your left knee. You've made an X with your arms. And now take an inhale. And as you exhale, draw your navel towards your spine. Let yourself round into your back. Curl your tailbone forward and let your chin come towards your chest. And now when you inhale, rise all the way back on up. And let the arms unwrap and again come on out beside you here now. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our left with our right hand coming to our left knee here. Lengthening up through the top of your head. Again, feel that twist in the middle of the back. Let your right sitting bone draw down. One more inhale. And as we exhale, as we come back around again, the right hand stays on that left knee and you just bring your left hand across, make that X. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, draw your navel towards your spine. Let yourself really kind of rock back a little bit so your shoulders stay over your hips. And then as you inhale, send your tailbone down. Roll up through your spine. Uncross your arms here now. Fingertips on out beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy a couple of breaths here. Seated mountain. Feel equal through your sitting bones there. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. We're coming around towards our hands and knees. So you know if you don't want to be on your hands and knees, don't be. Grab your chair if you'd rather. Have your hands up on a chair. Or be, if you'd rather, on your fists so you're out of your wrists. Or, of course, you can always let yourself come down to your forearms if you even feel better doing that. And get easy. Hands right under the shoulders and feet or knees under your hips. And now we'll just ease our way through our cat-cows. So take your time. Really enjoy letting the breath help you just very easily flow through the spine. Enjoy that suppleness of the spine. Remember, there is no right or wrong way to breathe through your cat-cows. It is taught both ways. Exhaling when you come into your cat-cow, inhaling when you come into cow, or even the total opposite. Good. So finish off the one you're on. Come on back to a more neutral spine here now. And now see if you can just make little circles with your navel, right? So as your navel drops down towards the ground, inhale and then exhale as you draw to one side, pulling the navel towards the spine, descending the other side. And then let yourself just really be easy with it. It doesn't matter how big or small. You make these circles. Waking up the belly, feeling the low back. We're going to stop and reverse direction. So see if you can go off in the other direction with those circles. Really focusing on the navel now. And then finish the one you're on so you can come then to a more neutral spine. And let's step our left foot forward and our right foot back to come into our first lunge. Now, blocks, chair, whatever height you want to be. Remember, you've got all these heights on your blocks, so you can be highest, middle, lowest. You can have your hands on a seat of a chair or down onto the floor if you choose. Take your time now, really feel that sense of that inner right heel reaching behind you so you feel more length in the inside of that right leg. Good, we're going to switch legs. So coming to the other side, however you want to do that. And getting those feet a little apart the wide way like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. And draw the shoulders down away from your ears. Engage your belly. Good, and we're going to switch again. And it's up to you. If you feel like you want to bring your left hand or forearm up to your thigh, you can. If it feels good to let yourself get a little more into the legs, a little more out of your hands, you can. And we're going to switch again. And again, once you get into the pose, if you feel like you want to rise your right hand or forearm up, you can. And let's come on forward into standing forward bend from here. So get your feet hips distance apart and parallel. Take your time here now. You know, whatever support you need. Your hands can stay on the chair. You can even put a block up in the seat of your chair if you need to. Get out of your hands by coming onto your forearms on a block. That's a good way to support the back. So if you have any issues, just be mindful. Take your time. Let your knees soften a little bit. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. And if possible, let your head hang, unless that puts too much pressure in your back, right? Full deep breaths. Feeling the expansion of the rib cage as you inhale. Good, and then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees. We're going to press into our feet and rise on up to standing. Inhaling our arms out and up overhead, and on our exhale, letting our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose, and take your time, adjust however you need. If you need to look at your feet, do. Let your hands spread nice and wide here now so that you can individually think about your fingers coming together, like right now, your pinkies. Feel your pinkies coming together, and then go on back to your pointer fingers and your middle fingers and your ring fingers and your thumbs. And then whatever part of your palms are touching there together, just enjoy that connection through the hands. And then the feet. Enjoy the feet equally into the ground. Imagine you're pressing the floor away from you with your feet a little bit. And then let the thighs gently engage upward. Tailbone dropping down towards between your heels. And then let's unfold our arms on down beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees as you come on forward into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. Reach back to your tailbone. And we'll step our right foot back now to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into a downward facing dog pose. Your choice of where your hands are in dog. Blocks, chair, down on the floor. See if you can let yourself hug your elbows gently towards each other. And then bend one knee at a time in your dog. Walk your dog a little bit. Good. And let's let our next inhale bring us out towards a plank. Now, you can come to your forearms. If your wrists are bothering you, you can come down to your forearms. You can put your knees down and do a half plank if you'd rather. Find that strength there through the belly. So feeling that zip up to the low belly. And your sitting bones reaching down towards your heels. Good. We're going to come on back into down dog. And from here, let's bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. If you need to put your left knee down in order to get into that lunge, do. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Again, supporting yourself however you need. If it feels fine to you to release your hands to lightly touch your elbows, just to give yourself a little bit more, you can. Or you may decide you need more support. Put your elbows above your knees if you need to. Nice, easy breaths in and out through your nose. And then we'll bring our hands on back up to our hips and bend our knees, rising up to standing. Inhaling our arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, letting our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And now, clasp your hands together. Really squeeze your palms together here for a second. And then press your palms out away from your chest. Your hands are interlaced, fingers are interlaced. Try not to roll forward with your shoulders. Imagine your chest coming forward a little bit. And then start to rise your arms up higher, as high as your shoulders allow you to go with your hands. Feel equal through your feet, equal through the sides of the body. Now, if you want to look up at your hands, if that feels good, you can look up. One more inhale. And on the exhale, release your hands. We're going to fold forward and come into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back. And we'll step the left foot back, this time to come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down now. Press your feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Engage the belly. Feel the whole body in your lunge here. And we'll come on into down dog. So ease your way back. And again, what the height of your hands is totally up to you. Lower, higher. Spread your fingers as best you can and feel your elbows hugging towards each other. Reaching equally through the sides of the body. Think of all the space in your spine. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to that plank again. So again, if you need to come to forearms, do it. If you need to put your knees down and do a half plank. Now, if you want to do a push-up, you can bend your elbows. It doesn't have to be much of a push-up to really feel the biceps, the shoulders. You can just bend your elbows a little bit in towards your ribs. If you just stay like that for a breath or two, it's a lot going on. Coming in towards your chaturanga. And then we'll come on back into down dog. And this time, left foot will come forward to find that lunge. Press the feet away from each other again. Engage your belly. And then we'll come all the way back to standing forward bend. Full deep breaths, whatever support you need. See if you can maybe nod or shake your head a little bit so you can really feel that weight of your head. Release your neck and your jaw. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, press into our feet as we rise up, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms and clasp our hands behind us now. So let yourself clasp your hands. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, come into a nice flat back where you're parallel to the floor. Bend your knees a little bit. Really reach back through your tailbone and feel the length of your spine as best you can. Now you can stay right here, or you can keep folding forward over your legs if it's okay for you. Some of you might even want to release your arms off your back. And that is up to you and your shoulders. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down. Let your inhale help you find that flat back, wherever you want your hands to give you support. Your legs, your chair, your blocks. And then we're going to step into a down dog. So again, you place your hands where you like. Maybe you want to change a little bit. Sometimes it feels good to switch from being higher to lower or lower to higher with your hands. Take your time. Elbows hug in. Good. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to that plank. Again, you can stay in plank. You can let yourself come into a little push-up, or you may want to do a little back bend. So if you feel like you want to either come down to the floor and come into a sphinx or a cobra, or come through for an up dog, you can. And then we'll make our way back again into down dog. So take your time. Bend your knees or walk your dog a little bit if you want, or wag your tail even a little bit if it feels good. And then we're going to do that same thing. We're going to come out towards the plank. Again, it is optional to add a back bend or to stay in the plank. Or if you prefer, do a little push-up. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. And let's bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And all the way back into standing forward bend now. And right away, go to those breaths. See if you can imagine your inhales and exhales being equally important. So they even out in length. And then we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips. Press equally into your feet as you rise on up, and inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And let your exhale bring your hands right down together in front of your heart. So find your mountain pose. If you need to move around a little bit to get adjusted, to feel more balanced, do. Bringing your gaze on forward and out. Feeling the space around you. Enjoying a little more energy now flowing through the body from our sun salutations, where we get everything going here. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. Shake out a little bit if you need to walk around, do. And we're going to come into, rather to me, the hardest way to do a warrior one, sometimes called crescent, where now you can use your chair, you can use your blocks. So if you're up on your chair, it's a little bit easier. If you step your right foot back and you come in like you're doing a lunge, but it's not a deep, low lunge, right? You can even bend your right knee. The right heel is reaching directly behind your foot. And maybe you can let go of the chair, right? Maybe not. If you're using blocks, chances are you're getting a little bit lower, but the same thing happens. When you lift up, if you need to bend that back knee a little bit, do. Let yourself find where you can be there. Hands can stay at your heart. You can hold onto the chair. You can reach your arms up overhead if you want to. Take your time. Let yourself just keep that lift to the belly. Good. We're going to lower our hands back down for a lunge now. So you may want to lengthen your lunge. We're going to add a twist. Keeping our right hand grounded on a chair or a block. And bringing our left hand to our left hip and rolling that left shoulder up, stretching that left arm up if you want, or keeping your hand down. So really just be mindful. Let it feel really good. One more breath. And then we're going to come on down with the hand, and now we're going to straighten that front leg out. Lower the right heel onto the floor. Both legs are straight in your pyramid pose. So now hips are square, thighs are engaging up towards the hips, so you're feeling like you're making space in your knees, feeling the legs very engaged here. And you can stay as high as you want with your hands or go as low as you want. If you want to fold over that front leg, you can let your hands come onto the floor if you want to give you support. Good. One more breath. And then come on back up. We're going to just step forward with our right foot to get both feet right underneath our hips. Come into your standing forward bend here now. And then see if you can just walk your hands a little to the right. If you have your hands on the blocks, you might just want to walk the blocks a little over to the right. You can also have your hands on the floor, right? And then come on back through center, and we'll walk our hands over towards the left. How far you go is up to you. And then come on back into center. Coming into your standing forward bend however you need. Support or letting yourself hang. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, bend our knees and rise on up. Inhaling our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, letting our hands come down. Find your mountain pose here now. Feel as equal as you can between your feet. Balanced between the front and the back of your body as well. Feeling your hips over your ankles, your shoulders over your hips. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. We're going to do the other side. So this time the left foot's going to step back for that warrior one variation, sometimes called crescent. I forgot to say it on the other side. If you need to widen this stance out wider, like you're on a little bit not quite so narrow railroad tracks, then make it wider. Sometimes being longer or shorter makes a big difference too, and how you can get your balance here. Use your chair if you need it. Let the left knee bend back there too if you need to do that. That kind of engages your belly a little bit more. It's a huge stretch in the front of the left hip here, right? You can have hands at the heart. You can bring the arms up overhead if you choose. Keeping your focus here. Good. One more breath. And now we'll bring our hands down. And we're going to come into lunge. So again, you can use whatever height you want to be. Blocks, whatever height, a chair if you'd rather. Keeping your left hand grounded now. Bring your right hand to your right hip, up to your low back. Roll that shoulder up. Try to stay level here in the hips. Stretching that arm up if you choose to. You don't need to, but you can. Good. And then we'll come on down, back to lunge. We're going to straighten that front knee out, lower the left heel onto the floor. So again, you might have to shorten your stance to get that back heel turned inward. Maybe your foot is at a slight angle back there, 20 to 30 degrees, right? And then take your time. Again, thighs are engaging upward, backs of the legs getting a nice stretch. You can stay up with the hands. If it feels really good to fold over that front leg, you can. One more breath here. And then we'll come back again to step forward with our left foot and get our feet right underneath us. Hips distance apart and parallel. Lift your toes up for a second. Let yourself spread your toes out a little bit. You can even use your fingers to help you if you need to feel the toes getting spread out just a little bit. And then let the toes just softly come back down to the floor. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into that mountain pose. Good, and then we'll unfold our arms, shake everything out. Again, walk around a little bit if you need to. And this time, we're going to come into Warrior Two. Have your blocks handy, towards the front of your mat there, or your chair. And let yourself step your right foot back for Warrior Two. Line up your heels, and see if you can, like, bend and straighten that left knee a couple of times. So it feels really good. You see the knee is coming right out over the center of the foot when you bend it. And when you come back into a straighter leg if you can. And the next time that you bend it, stay there. If you feel like you want to adjust your stance, do. You can get longer or shorter. And then bring your arms on straight out from your shoulders, a little bit higher. Drop the shoulders down. Reach out through your fingertips. Then let that hand come to a place where you can easily look out over the top of the left hand. Feel that long line from the back fingertips through the right arm, through the chest, out through the front left fingertips. And we'll turn the left palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Let your right hand slide a little more down your right leg. And on your exhale, come into your side angle. So your right hand or forearm can be on your thigh or your chair. And then adding that right arm up into line if your shoulder lets you. You know that's optional. Keeping the hand down on your hip is fine. So if your shoulder bothers you, find what works. Good. One more breath here. And then we're going to come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other. And letting our hands come down. We're going to straighten that left leg out and turn our feet more parallel. And let's come on forward. Wide-legged forward bend. Grab blocks if you need them. So take your time. Let yourself, once you get your hands on a support, go ahead and bend your right knee. We're endeavoring to get our feet pretty parallel, but we're all different. You go by what feels good for your hips. And then bend your left knee. Let yourself find that inner right thigh. And then come on back into center and adjust. So maybe you want to get wider or less wide to set up, to come into the pose where you can really release. If you like stacked blocks, you can put your forearms on blocks so that you have support for your back. Or you can let your hands come down to the floor. And let yourself be with your breath here now. Accepting the breaths fully and deeply, both in and out. One more nice, full, deep breath. And we're going to walk ourselves on back out with the hands. Find a nice flat back here for a second. Press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And now to come up, you decide if hands to the thighs is enough, or maybe you need to bring your feet closer together before you rise on up. And walking those feet together, jump if you want to jump, move around a little bit. And we're going to the other side for that Warrior Two now. So you can move your chair, have your chair still there at your hand if you want. Let yourself line up your heels and bend that right knee now. And then see if you can again. Let yourself bend and then straighten that knee out and watch it, right? So when you straighten your knee, you're still trying to keep it more in line with the center of the foot. Sometimes the knee wants to go a little either way, and then, we're built differently too, so it may not be exact, but do the best you can. And then the next time that you come into bending that knee, get lined up there for sure here. And then we'll rise those arms on up and out, bringing our gaze out over the top of that right hand. Now reach out through your fingertips. Feel that sense of a long line as you feel open both across your chest and your upper back. Feet firmly in the floor. One more breath. And we'll turn our right palm up. Left hand to the left leg is going to slide down the left leg so that you come into that reverse warrior, breathing into the right ribs. One more breath. And we'll come into side angle. So either your right hand or forearm can go on your chair or your thigh. Adding that left arm up into line is totally up to you. So take your time. Let yourself just enjoy finding the length through the spine here. So you don't want to collapse into the underside of the body. You want to keep that length, even if you're up higher. Doesn't matter. One more breath here. Find the feet in the floor. And then we'll come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And as we bring our hands down now and turn that right foot to where we're more parallel with our feet, grab your blocks if you need them. Coming on forward. And this time, once you get down, let's walk over towards the right or shift our block to the right. Doesn't matter whether you go all the way to the foot or just stay more in front of the foot. And then we'll come on back through center and we'll go over to the left. Again, either just a little ways, shifting your block or maybe towards your foot. Give the legs time to adjust there. And then come on back into center. And now, take your time. If this doesn't work for you, don't do it. Well, something you can do maybe is grab your blocks and let yourself, if you're low enough or if you can get the blocks high enough, put your head on blocks and bring your hands up to clasp on your low back. And for some of us, that might be enough to keep your back long and just bring your hands there, maybe releasing the arms off the back. And some of you will be fine to go ahead and fold so that the crown of the head goes towards the ground and then releasing your arms forward off your back there, right? So when the body can come forward, the arms can come off a lot easier for most of us. But don't push it. You got to really pay attention to your back. Stay where you can be. Release our arms now, hands on back down. We're going to walk ourselves out to find that long back again. And then bringing your hands up to your thighs or your hips, or bringing the feet together first if you need to before you rise up. And if you're dizzy, be mindful, take your time. Bring those feet together, move around a little bit. And from here, we're going to bring ourselves into our mats to a wall. So the studio here, we have plenty of room. Find your wall there. Let yourself come on into bringing your left hand towards the wall. And we're going to come into a little bit of work here for coming into eagle, but with a figure four first. So crossing our right ankle, either above or below our left knee, making that figure four. And now, this might be enough. Maybe you just want to stay right here because this is pretty intense. If you bend that left knee and shift your hips back like you're going to sit down in a chair, it's very intense, right? And really gets into the hip. And you can think about balancing here. Maybe thinking about balancing is all you want to do, right? Because bringing the hands to the heart here is not an easy thing. You can go lower if you want, but back more with your hips. Get a little deeper if you choose. One more breath there. And now come on up and cross your thigh over your thigh if you can and bend that left knee again. And squeeze your thighs towards each other. Shift your hips back a little bit if you can. And you're more than welcome to balance right there in the eagle pose. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to turn around and shake out that left, circle through that left foot a little bit, shake it out. And we're going to come on to crossing left ankle above or below the right knee. That figure four, flex the left foot, and then sit back a little bit. And man, that's a lot of work right there. If you want to balance, you can balance. You can think about bringing your hands to your heart or not. If you feel like you like going really lower, you can, right? And then we're going to come up and we're going to cross the thigh more over now, thigh over thigh. Squeeze the thighs towards each other, flex that right foot, and maybe you can find a little bit of balance here. If you bring your gaze maybe 4 or 5 feet in front of you on the floor, sometimes that's an easier way to balance. Ooh, and then we're going to come on up. We're going to turn to face the wall and come on to, actually come into a plank. If you need to be in fists, do fists. So if your wrist bothers you to come into a plank here at the wall, come into fists. Let yourself feel the hands like they're to the outside of your shoulders, not the inside. More to the outside of your shoulders. And then see if you can just bend the elbows and come towards the wall. Doing a couple little push-ups here. Elbows hug in. So imagine you're holding a beach ball between your elbows when you bend them and you come towards the wall, and when you come back out from the wall. Good. So one more if you can. And then we're going to step all the way up to the wall. And let your belly come into the wall. Put your hands on your low back. Like really to each side on the buttocks here, but letting the fingertips face downward. If it doesn't hurt your shoulders, okay? And now from here, feel the belly pressing into the wall. Bring your forehead off the wall. Let your elbows hug a little towards each other. Look up a little if you can. If it bothers you, don't do it. Like a standing camel. And then release your forehead back to the wall. Shift your hips back a little bit, right? So you release a little bit there. Really rest the head in the wall. One more breath there. And then try again. Belly comes to the wall. Now you can keep the hands where they are when the forehead comes off, or you might even want to clasp your hands, slide them down. You're down, way down below the buttocks as much as you can. And let yourself come from there into opening the chest. Elbows hugging a little towards each other. If it bothers your back, don't do it, right? One more breath. And then bring the head back to the wall. Bring your hands to the wall. And now step back and find a down dog where you have about a 90-degree angle here at your hips. Down dog, hands at the wall. You might need to kind of peek up at your hands, make sure one's not higher than the other. You can come 90 degrees or you can be higher. If you need to be higher, be higher. Hug your elbows towards each other. Let your spine be nice and long as you reach back through your tailbone. And those elbows hug in. It should be a relief for the low back. Knees can be bent. It's fine to bend your knees. Great one to do on a kitchen counter at home. Having your hands on the countertop, stretching your way back. So one more breath. And then we'll slowly walk on back in towards the wall and shake everything out just a little bit. Move through your hands a little bit here. Good. And let's come on down. We're going to come under our bellies on the floor. So let yourself come on down to your belly and come on, if you can, onto your forearms into a Sphinx pose with your elbows underneath your shoulders for a second, just to let the back release a little bit more. Feel your hands on the floor. Kind of look at your hands. Feel each finger into the floor there and your thumbs, your palms. Kind of stretch your fingers out, almost like you're trying, like on a piano, to reach into an octave with your hands, you know? Really, really spreading out. One more breath. And then bring your hands together. Your elbows are under your shoulders. Clasp your hands. Send your pinky fingers out. Bend your knees and lift up to a little half forearm plank here if you can. So elbows are hugging in. You're on the flesh above your knees. Let yourself just stay there for a breath. And then if you want to put your feet down and lift your knees up and come into a full forearm plank, you can. You can stay in the half. Finding that core body working. One more breath. And then come on down and let yourself turn your left cheek towards the floor. Bring your arms down alongside you and let your palms face up. So this really, your shoulders melt down towards the ground. And you're going to breathe into your low back. Let your low back rise as you inhale. So feel the breath bringing release for the low back. And now we're going to lift the head up and turn the other way. So oftentimes one side's a lot harder than the other. So do what you can. Breathing into the low back still. Shoulders melting down. Good. And now, come on back to center. We're going to bring ourselves back into on our forearms. Clasp our hands together. Now, your choices are to go back to that half forearm plank or the full forearm plank. Or some of you may want to bring your knees up and so you can lift up, walk your feet up towards a dolphin pose. But that's up to you and your shoulders. So let yourself be where you can. Remember, if you're in that dolphin, your head is off the floor. You're pressing into your forearms. Elbows are hugging towards each other. One more breath, whatever one you're doing. And now we're going to release. We're going to come towards child's pose from here. So, totally up to you. You know that. As you bring your big toes towards each other, knees apart, whether you need to stay a little forward because your hips and knees don't want you to come fully into child's pose, or maybe you want to shift your hips back towards your heels. So arms soft overhead or bringing the arms back alongside your legs, turning the palms up. And then just breathing into the back. Really feeling, again, that movement of the low back. When you inhale, that rising of the low back. And then we'll bring our hands by our knees so we can come up. And we're going to bring our legs on around in front of us. And come to sitting there. Stretch your legs out. We're going to practice a little boat pose. So if you like to sit up, remember in boat pose you want to be careful if you get up too high, it can be a little dangerous, but let yourself stretch your legs out, move through your feet and your ankles a little bit, circling through here. Shake out, do little windshield wiper blades. Oh, and you can even take your heels of your hands and come down the outsides of your legs, like from right up where your leg connects, right? All the way down the outsides to above the knees. And you can keep pressing like that and head towards the tops of the thighs. So, 4 or 5 times where you're just pressing and finding release that way. Good. And then finish off and let's walk our feet on in towards us. Hold on behind your thighs here. And without even lifting your feet here, see if you can just lean back a little bit and feel what happens. Right, so once you keep your back long and you lean back, your belly fires up and your low back too, right? So when you come to the tips of the toes and you start to lift the feet up off the floor, flex the feet and press the outside of your big toe mounts together a little bit. And still see if you can focus on using your belly and your low back, right? Now that becomes harder when you let go of the legs because what happens is your hip flexors kind of grip. And that's okay. It's kind of natural for that to happen. But see if you can really focus on the belly and the low back doing the work there. And you can hold on. Stretch your legs long if you want. Play with letting go there or or not do that at all, right? You don't have to come into straighter legs. You don't need to let go. If your back bothers you, by all means, come out of it however you need. Good. We're going to put our feet down on the floor. And then from here, get your feet as close together as you can and your knees. And then bring your right hand over to your left knee here and bring your left hand on around behind you. And come in doing a little twist here. So lengthening up through the top of your head. Good. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around and all the way into the other direction. So lengthening up. It's kind of a hard twist. Doesn't mean you need to go deeply into it. Let yourself just feel the left sit bone drawing downward. Good. One more breath. And then come on back into center again, and then one more time. See if you can lean back and come into a little boat pose, whether you hold on or not. And again, if you need to stretch your legs up, do it. If you feel better to keep the knees bent. And then we're going to bring ourselves into soles of the feet towards each other. Now, you can bring them farther out. You can have a bigger diamond shape in here. You can bring the feet in closer towards you. But you really don't want to sit like this, right? So you want to be able to sit up nice and tall. If you need to use your hands to give you a little help, do it. So that you feel this sense of being able to reach up through the top of your head. A lot of space in your spine. You can use blocks underneath your knees. If your hips feel iffy, you can support yourself. And some of you may want to come forward. If it feels fine to come with that torso keeping lengthened forward, you can do that, especially if it's a relief. If it's not a relief, maybe don't go there. And you can go farther. You know, if it feels fine to round over at the end and let your head come down because that feels really good to you, then go for it. If instead that adds a sense of discomfort in your back, don't do it. Good. One more breath here. And now as you start to make your way up, take your time. You might even want to use your hands to help your knees come on back up. Stretch your legs on out in front of you. Shake out, move through your feet and your ankles again. And we are going to make our way down towards our backs on the floor from here. So take your time. Come on around. You can have blocks handy in case you want them when we do a little bridge pose. But bring yourself in the knees towards the chest and let the knees come side to side. And you may even want to let your head turn a little bit. Doesn't matter. If it feels good to look away from the direction your knees are going, sometimes that feels really good. You can kind of roll through the back of your head, almost like you're massaging the back of your head. As you just roll to look the opposite direction from the way the knees are going. Good, and then finish off to be back at center with your head and your knees. And bring your feet onto the floor. Stretch your arms overhead here for a second. You might even, if possible, clasp your hands and turn the palms away from you like you do when we are standing up to do a side stretch. But you're just going to stretch the sides of the body just by turning the palms away from you and stretching up. Obviously, if it bothers your shoulders, don't do it. Good, and then let your hands come apart and let your elbows soften and your arms just rest there. However is easy for you to have your arms up overhead. You know, you might need to widen them. Just feel really good and comfortable. And then from here, just press gently into your feet and curl your tailbone up a little bit. A couple of little pelvic tilts. So just letting yourself, as you exhale, feel the tailbone curl upward, the low back come towards the ground. When you inhale, send the tailbone back down again so you're feeling that movement through the pelvis. And if you want to roll a little higher up through the spine, you can. That is totally optional, up to you. Doesn't mean you even need to lift your hips up. You know, you might just go up a little higher, or you might want to lift the hips up and roll up a little bit higher up onto the spine, but not if it bothers your back, right? So go where it feels good for you. And then the next time that your hips are back down, if you were rolling up, now lower your arms on down beside you. You may decide you'd rather grab a block to come up into a bridge pose, or you may decide to bring your arms down alongside you, roll your shoulders under, maybe even bending your elbows if you like that. And you might just want to press into the backs of the arms and float your hips up, or you may want to get that block and rest on the block. So take your time. If you're in your bridge and you like to stretch your arms long, you can either turn palms down towards the ground and press into the backs of the upper arms and the hands a little bit, or you can clasp your hands underneath your back. Roll your shoulders under there if that feels good. Feeling the feet equal in the floor. Just make sure you have that sense of the back of the head gently coming into the mat. So your throat is open. And you know, for bridge pose, you can move up and down, you can come down anytime you choose and rest. You can stay on the block and rest. And then when you're ready to come down, be really mindful and easy. Bring yourself off the block gently if you were up on that block. And then bring your knees on into your chest. Let the knees separate just a little bit more. And then let the knees come side to side so that you're really just massaging your low back a little bit. And then come back to center. Let's stretch our legs up in the air and let yourself do a little bit of cross-country ski kind of motion with the legs. Flex the feet. So you feel the backs of your legs. And if the knees are a little bent, it's fine. Let it feel good. And then come back up with the feet, and we're going to separate into a wide angle here. You may decide you want to put your hands on the outside of your legs and give a little support. Or you might want to let the weight of the legs bring you into a pretty deep stretch for your inner thighs. That's up to you. I mean, some of you might even want to reach and try to hold on to your feet or your big toes, right? If that feels good, you can do it. One more breath. And then we'll bring our legs on back up and bend our knees here now and put our feet back to the floor. And from here we're going to cross our right thigh over our left, like when we did that eagle where we did thigh over thigh, right? And now press into your left foot. Lift your hips up. Shift them to the right 2 or 3 inches and put them down. And now let your knees come to the left. So you're coming into a little twist. You can grab a block, put it underneath your legs if you want. You can let the right foot give you support so the legs don't go any lower if you want to do that. And see if you can let yourself just real easily come into your twist here. If turning your head to look to the right sounds good, You can let your head just roll to look to the right and ease your way there into that twist. So use support if you need. Blocks under your leg or your knee. One more nice, easy breath. And as you start to head up, you might want to uncross pretty quickly and then straighten your spine out. Get yourself back. Might even do a couple little pelvic tilts. Get yourself evened out there. And then we're going to bring our left thigh over our right. And then again, press into your right foot. Lift your hips to the left. Put them down after 2 or 3 inches, and then bring your knees over to the right. And again, if it feels good to turn the head, if it feels good to grab a block or blocks, supporting your legs or your knee. Stay with your breaths. Good. One more breath here. And now as you start to head up again, you'll want to uncross pretty quickly. And then again, straighten your spine out and keep your feet on the floor there. And now let's bring our left arm on top of our right. Give yourself a hug. Let yourself either stay hugging or go ahead and head towards an eagle or a half eagle wrap if that feels good in your shoulders. Just letting yourself release through the shoulders here. And then we'll unfold and we're going to switch. Bring the right arm on top again. You can just hug, let the elbows kind of melt down, let yourself release there. You can head towards backs of the hands towards each other. Coming into eagle if that feels good. And then when you come on out from that, instead of thinking about anything, let your body do just exactly what it wants to do, right? If you need to just let your knees come side to side, if you feel like bringing your knees in, curling into a ball, stretching your legs up, anything that your body just sort of naturally feels inclined to do right now. Let yourself go for being able to give the body time here. So you can get comfortable for our Shavasana. We'll come around and start to get some lights, but also to bring anything anybody might need here in the studio too to be more comfortable. So you know, at home, same thing. If you can get something for under your knees, if your back feels just a little bit iffy, if you want to be covered up, grab yourself a blanket. You're welcome. So if you're here in the studio, I'm coming around. If I missed you, wave at me. If you need a blanket, wave at me so that I can get you a blanket if you need cover. Remember, I take everything home and wash it. So let yourself start to melt down into the ground now. Feel that support of the ground underneath you. And letting that firmness of the ground really allow you to more easily feel the release, the physical release of the body as your muscles start to relax now. Watching your breath. Just receiving your breaths in and out. Nothing you need to do in order to breathe. And when your mind wanders, it always does, just keep refocusing easily back to your breath. Give your mind and your body time to benefit however they need from all you just did. Allowing yourself to completely and fully relax. Accepting breaths a little deeper, letting yourself feel the ground underneath you supporting you again. And starting to let your fingers and your toes feel like moving again, and gradually letting yourself start to wiggle and move your hands and your feet, and coming up into your arms and legs when you're ready, whether you need to stretch or bring your knees in towards your chest. Take your time. You know you're welcome to stay on your back, roll to either side if you're comfortable to do that. Whatever allows you maybe to just enjoy the ground a little bit longer. Give your body and your brain a little bit of time to adjust. And when you're ready to rise up, just take your time, let yourself float your way up so that eventually your head gets up there again to be up above your heart. Sit comfortably so your hips feel at ease and lengthen up through the top of your head. Enjoy all that space in your spine, coming back to your breath. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.